Liam sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the wind that danced through the trees outside his window. His cabin was deep in the quiet zone of planet Coronine, far from the cities, far from the noise. He liked it that way. He came here for peace. But tonight, the peace felt strange, too still, too silent, almost like the world was holding its breath. Earlier that day, the old alien shopkeeper, Noruk, had given him a strange warning. "Do not leave your door open tonight, human." Noruk had said in his thick voice, "The heat season begins, and the commander's sister." "She is not safe." Liam had raised an eyebrow. What does that even mean? He'd asked, smiling politely, but Noruk didn't smile back. "She enters the phase," Noruk said. "She will seek warmth, scent, and bonding. If your door is open, she might choose you." Liam laughed it off back then. He didn't believe in alien heat myths or magical instincts. He believed in logic. And logic told him that stories like that were just old superstition. So when he returned to his cabin, he left the front door slightly open, just a little crack, just to see if the old man's warning had any truth. Now, hours later, the crack in the door still remained. Cold wind brushed in and out. The room was dark. Except for a small fire burning in the heater, Liam laid back, listening to the wind howl through the trees. Then suddenly, it stopped. No wind, no branches moving, no sounds at all, just silence. Liam's eyes opened slowly. His instincts whispered to him, something is different. He sat up quietly, letting his ears adjust. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like breathing, slow. Shaky, shallow breathing. It wasn't his, it was coming from the hallway. He turned his head and saw the hallway shadow shift slightly. Something or someone was standing there. Just outside the living room, Liam didn't move, his heart pounded. In his chest, his mind raced. Could it be an animal? A thief? An alien scout? He stood slowly, his bare feet pressing against the cold wooden floor. Step by step, he moved toward the hallway. His hand reached for the light switch, but just before he flipped it, he paused. The breathing got louder. Closer, he turned on the light, and there she was. She stood at the edge of the hallway, her body trembling, her skin a soft purple hue that shimmered faintly under the light. She wore strange, thin fabric, more ceremonial than protective. Her long hair clung to her face with sweat, her golden eyes locked onto Liam's, wide and shining with something wild, something raw. Her chest rose and fell fast, like she'd been running or holding something back. Liam didn't speak, neither did she. But she took a step forward. Her legs wobbled slightly, like she was barely able to stand. He raised his hands slowly, showing her he meant no harm. "Hey, are you all right?" he said softly. The girl didn't reply. She looked at the heater in the corner, then back at Liam. Then she walked right past him. Not saying a single word, she curled near the heater, pulling her knees to her chest, and let out a soft, shaky sigh, like the warmth was all she needed in the world. Liam stood frozen for a few seconds. What had just happened? Who was she? He remembered Noruk's words, the commander's sister. Could this be her? And if it was, why had she come to his house? He slowly moved toward the small chair near the heater and sat down. She didn't seem scared of him. In fact, she didn't even look surprised, like she had chosen this place. Chosen him. The room remained quiet. Only the soft crackle of the heater and the sound of her breathing filled the air. Liam watched her for a long while. He could see her hands shaking. Her skin had patterns pulsing slowly, something alien, something beautiful. Her eyes finally opened again, meeting his there. Was no anger, no fear, just confusion, desperation, and hunger, not for food, but something deeper. Liam stood up quietly and brought her a blanket. She didn't move as he placed it around her shoulders, but she did close her eyes, and this time, her breathing slowed, calm, like she had finally found what she was searching for. Liam backed away and returned to his bed. He didn't close the door, not even now. But as he laid back and stared at the ceiling, one thought repeated in his head. Maybe the door should have stayed closed, *ChatGPT said. She was still there the next morning, curled up near the heater like a lost animal that had decided where it belonged. Liam didn't move at first, just watched her breathing slowly, the blanket still wrapped around her shoulders, her hair messy and glowing faintly under the early light that came through the window. For a moment, he wondered if he had dreamed it all, if the warnings, the glowing eyes, and her silent entrance had just been some strange hallucination caused by loneliness. But no, she was real, very real. He stood up quietly and moved into the kitchen area, trying not to wake her. He made tea, something light, and tried to act normal, even though nothing about this situation was normal. What do you even do when an alien girl in heat decides to walk into your house and sleep by your heater? Was he supposed to call someone, give her breakfast? Get chased out of his home by an angry alien commander? The kettle hissed and she stirred. Her golden eyes opened slowly, blinking at the room like she didn't recognize it. Then she saw him. She tensed for a second, but only for a second. Her body relaxed again, like she remembered she had chosen this place. Chosen him. "Hey," Liam said softly, offering her a warm cup. "It's just tea." She didn't take it. Not right away. She looked at his face for a long time, studying it with a quiet focus, as if she was trying to decide what kind of creature he really was. Then she reached out, her fingers brushing against the ceramic carefully. She took the cup, brought it to her lips, and drank slowly. He wanted to ask questions, so many questions. But he also didn't want to scare her. She looked like she'd snap if he moved too fast, so he kept his voice calm, his words simple. "What's your name?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just stared into the tea, then back at him. Then, finally she whispered, almost like it hurt her to speak. "Rena." The name hit like a quiet bell in his chest. He had heard it before. Locals had mentioned her, the sister of the Zarathi commander, young, powerful, and unpredictable during heat phase. Some said she once broke through a solid wall during a bonding frenzy. Others said she nearly destroyed an entire outpost because she was rejected by a chosen partner. But the girl sitting in his living room looked nothing like a monster. She looked tired, scared, and lost. Not dangerous, not to him. "I'm Liam," he said, pointing to himself. "Liam," she nodded slightly, like she already knew. That gave him chills. Had she been watching him before? Did she choose his house on purpose? He sat down on the floor near her, not too close, but close enough to speak gently. "You're not supposed to be here, are you?" he asked. Rena didn't respond. She pulled the blanket tighter and looked at the heater like it was the only safe thing in the room. Liam waited, letting the silence hang. Finally she said, "I couldn't stop." "Stop what?" he asked. "Walking here," she whispered. "I felt it, pulling me. Something warm. Something safe." Liam didn't know what to say. Her words made him feel both honored and terrified. He had no idea what her species truly experienced during this so-called heat phase, but if even half of the stories were true, she could become something else if things went wrong. She drank the rest of her tea, then stood up slowly, her balance still unsteady. Liam instinctively reached out to help her. She flinched, but then let him hold her arm. Her skin was warmer than any human's, almost like fire under the surface. "I can leave if you want," she said suddenly, her voice shaking. "No," Liam said before he could think. "You can stay if you want to." Her lips parted slightly, as if the offer surprised her. "Why?" she asked. "You don't even know me." "Maybe not," he said. "But I know what it's like to have nowhere else to go." Her eyes shimmered, glowing just a little brighter. Then she sat down again, this time a little closer to him. She didn't say thank you. She didn't have to. Outside, the wind picked up, and 2 Zarathi patrol ships flew over the horizon, scanning the woods. They were searching for someone, and Liam had just let her stay. He didn't know what that meant yet, but as he looked at her curled again near the heater, eyes slowly closing, he knew one thing for sure. He had just crossed a line, and there was no going back. The patrol didn't knock, not yet, but Rena had already sensed them. She stood near the window, her golden eyes watching the distant sky where two search drones passed slowly over the trees. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there. Like a silent statue, Liam didn't say anything. He only watched her, waiting for her to speak. "They're close," she finally whispered. Liam moved beside her, careful not to get too close. He glanced out, but saw nothing but fog and cold. "Forest, how do you know?" he asked. "I can feel my brother's energy," she said softly. "He's looking for me." So it was true. Rena wasn't just some random alien girl. She really was the sister of the Zerathi commander. The one everyone feared. The one who, if he found her in a human's house, could start a conflict, or worse. Liam took a breath and sat down at the table. "You should probably hide," he said, trying to stay calm. "I won't," she said, turning to him. "But they'll take you back," he warned. "I don't care," she whispered. "I don't want to go back to a cage." Liam's fingers curled against the wood of the table. She was trembling again, but not from fear this time, from the burning heat rising inside her. He could see it in the way her skin glowed under the neck, in the way she gripped her arms to hold herself together. "You're burning up," he said. "I'm trying to fight it," she replied. "But it's getting harder." Her breathing grew heavy again. She backed away from the window, stepping into the corner where shadows were darker. "I can't lose control here," she whispered to herself. Not in front of him. Liam stood, confused, heart pounding. "Hey, you're not alone, okay?" he said gently. "You're safe here." She looked at him then, really looked. There was a flash in her eyes, not danger, but something close to panic. "You don't understand," she said. "If I bond during the phase, it's for life." The words hit him like a storm. Bonding. That was what the heat meant. It wasn't just physical, it was deeper, biological, permanent. "You think I want to force that on someone?" she asked, voice cracking. "I came here because I didn't want to hurt anyone." Liam felt his throat tighten. He had let her stay. He had shown kindness, warmth, even trust. But now he saw the burden she carried. Every moment she stayed here, she was fighting her own instincts, fighting not to bind herself to him. "You've been holding it back this whole time?" he asked. She nodded slowly, eyes glassy. "Then you're stronger than anyone gives you credit for," he said. That made her blink. No one had ever said that to her before. Not her brother, not her own people. They only saw her as a danger, as a mistake. She sat down on the floor, away from the heater this time, just close enough to feel his presence. "You smell like rain," she said, half smiling through the pain. "It calms me." Liam smiled back, unsure what else to say. He didn't know the rules of her world, her biology, her pain. But he knew one thing: she trusted him. Suddenly, a loud knock shattered the silence. They both jumped. Another knock followed, louder this time. Liam stood up and stepped toward the door. Rena was on her feet too, but she didn't run. She just stood behind him, head high, ready for whatever came next. "Open the door, human." A deep voice called out. It was her brother. Even through the door, Liam could feel the weight of that voice. The kind of voice that made worlds obey. Liam opened the door halfway, just enough to see the tall Zerathi officer in full armor standing in the cold. His glowing blade was sheathed, but his expression was hard. "I'm looking for my sister," he said. "She's dangerous during this cycle." "She's here," Liam said plainly. The commander's eyes narrowed. "You should have turned her in." "I didn't," Liam replied. "Because she didn't harm me." The commander stepped closer. "Where is she?" Rena walked up behind Liam, placing a gentle hand on his back. "I'm right here, brother," she said, voice calm but firm. "I chose to come here." The commander stared at her, shocked by her clarity. "You're stable?" he asked. Rena nodded. "He didn't touch me, didn't take advantage." "But you bonded," the commander said, voice low. "No," she replied. "But I could have, and I didn't." The silence between them stretched like wire. Then the commander's eyes moved back to Liam. "You don't understand what you've stepped into, human," he said. "I don't," Liam agreed. But I'm not afraid of her, the commander exhaled slowly, almost disappointed. Then he turned, stepping away into the cold mist. This isn't over, he warned as he disappeared into the trees. Liam closed the door slowly. Heart still racing, Rena stood beside him, eyes unreadable. You stood up for me, she said quietly. You deserved it, Liam replied. Outside, the wind howled once more, but inside, the fire burned warm, and she was still there, not running, not hiding, just staying. She started copying the way he walked. At first, Liam thought it was just coincidence. But every time he stepped into the kitchen or leaned against the wall or scratched his neck, Rena would do the same, not in a mocking way, not like a joke, but like a child studying the world for the first time. She was learning about him, about humans, about being here. Rena no longer hovered near the heater all day. Now she followed Liam as he moved around the small cabin, watching how he washed dishes, how he folded his clothes, how he even talked to himself when thinking. She didn't talk much, but her eyes soaked in everything, and every now and then, she smiled when he wasn't looking. Liam noticed it more when he sat on the porch one afternoon, sipping from a hot mug. She came out behind him and sat exactly like he did, holding an empty cup just to mirror his hands. When he raised an eyebrow, she tilted hers too. When he laughed, she blinked, unsure what to do. You're copying me, he said softly. She looked confused for a moment, then guilty. Sorry, she said, almost in a whisper. I don't mean to, it's just your actions feel safe. He didn't mind. It was kind of sweet, actually. But it also told him how little she understood human emotions. Her instincts were still guiding her, and they were guiding her toward him. Later that evening, he found her humming softly something that sounded almost like a lullaby. She stopped the moment he entered the room. Was that music? He asked. Not really, she said. Just sound I remember from when I was young, before the tests. Tests? He asked gently. Rena hesitated. They did tests on me, she said, when I first showed signs of early heat cycles. They thought I was broken. Liam's hands tightened. What kind of tests? Painful ones, she said, with a strange calmness. But I didn't break. I just stopped talking, stopped singing, stopped smiling. He didn't know what to say. Her life before this, before him, was filled with silence, control, fear. But now here, she was beginning to speak again. Beginning to sing, to copy, to feel. The next night, the heat phase seemed to rise again. Rena paced the room, breathing heavier than usual, hands trembling, skin glowing faintly. She pressed her forehead to the window like the cold might slow the fire inside her. I'm sorry, she whispered again and again. I'm sorry I'm still here. You don't need to say sorry, Liam told her. You haven't done anything wrong. I'm not supposed to stay this long. She said, the more I stay, the more my instincts change. Liam sat on the floor beside her, careful not to touch her. You don't have to fight alone, he said. I do, she replied, because if I lose, it won't be me who touches you. It'll be something else inside me. Her voice cracked at the end, like her body wasn't just burning, it was breaking. Liam stood up and walked to the storage cabinet. He pulled out one of the cold packs he used for fever, wrapped it in cloth, and gently placed it beside her. Put this on your chest, maybe it helps, he said. She took it with shaking hands, pressed it to her skin, and let out a soft moan of relief. He sat back against the wall, watching her carefully. Every hour that passed was harder for her, but she wasn't losing control. She was holding it all in because she didn't want to hurt him. Later that night, when the wind outside roared and the heater flickered low, she stood in the doorway of his bedroom, her eyes glowing dim blue, her body draped in one of his oversized shirts. I can't sleep, she said softly. Liam sat up, pulling the blanket aside slightly. Do you want to sit? He asked. She hesitated, then walked over and sat at the edge of the bed. Not close, but not far. Your scent keeps getting stronger, she whispered. It makes the heat quieter. Liam blinked. unsure what she meant. It means I trust you more now, she said, her voice trembling again. And that makes me more dangerous to you. You haven't done anything to hurt me, he said. She looked down. Not yet, she replied. But the cycle isn't over. He looked at her carefully. Her cheeks were flushed, her voice shaking, but her body stayed where it was. No sudden moves, no lunges, no wildness. Just a girl trying to survive the storm inside her. Why me? Liam asked, why did you come here? Rena closed her eyes. I smelled something human days before the heat started, she said, but it wasn't weak or fearful. It was stable, calm. I followed it. Liam felt a chill go down his spine. She had chosen him, not by accident, not by chance. She followed a feeling, and now here she was, sitting at the edge of his bed, burning, fighting, and still holding herself back. Neither of them said another word that night. They just sat together in silence, the warmth of the room battling the storm inside her, and outside, under the pale stars, the cold night passed by slowly, as if the universe itself was waiting to see how long she could last. The fourth knock wasn't like the others. It wasn't loud or sharp or filled with threat. It was soft, almost polite, but it froze Liam where he stood, halfway through pouring tea, and it made Rena sit up straight, her ears twitching slightly. They had both heard it, the sound of a visitor who didn't come with anger, but something colder, something official, someone who knew exactly what they were here for. Liam stepped toward the door slowly, and Rena moved behind the curtain, her breath shallow. I'll handle it, he whispered. She didn't argue. She just vanished into the side hallway like a shadow slipping into the walls. When Liam opened the door, he was greeted by a female Zarathi officer. She was tall, calm-faced, and wearing the silver and blue uniform of the Planetary Diplomatic Patrol. Unlike the commander, she didn't look like she'd burned the place down, but her eyes were sharp, scanning every inch of his cabin like she already knew Rena was inside, human. She said, nodding slightly, "May I come in?" Liam didn't move. "May I ask why?" He said, steady as he could. "We're not here to arrest anyone," she said. "We're here to confirm something." Liam opened the door fully, stepping aside. She entered without hesitation, taking careful steps, boots clicking gently against the wood floor. "Your name is Liam Ryden," she said, more like a statement than a question. "Yes," he replied. "You've lived here for 16 cycles. Yes, you've had no contact with our kind until 3 nights ago." Liam didn't answer that. She turned to him slowly, eyes still calm. "You are harboring Rena, aren't you?" There was no use denying it now. He just gave a slow nod. The officer didn't reach for her weapon, didn't call for backup. She just sighed. "She has never made it this far," she said quietly. "In the past by now, someone was already hurt. Or claimed." "She hasn't hurt anyone," Liam replied quickly. "She hasn't claimed you either." The officer said, stepping closer. "That means something has changed." In the hallway, Rena stepped forward, no longer hiding. She looked tired, but strong. The officer turned and gave a small nod. "Hello, Rena," she said. "Hello, Laris," Rena replied, her voice cautious. Liam looked between them. "You know each other?" "She monitored me when I was younger," Rena said. "I was one of the few assigned to her training unit," Laris added. "We were told to keep her calm, contained. But I was never calm," Rena said. "Until now." Laris studied her closely. "You bonded to him?" she asked. "No," Rena answered. "But I'm near the edge." Laris walked to the fireplace and knelt beside it, warming her hands like she was just visiting old friends. Then she looked at Liam. "You've kept her steady," she said. "That's rare. Almost impossible." "I didn't do anything," Liam replied. "You didn't take anything," Laris corrected. "And in her condition, restraint is more powerful than touch." Silence returned for a moment. Then Laris stood, straightened her coat, and walked to the door. "Listen carefully," she said. "You're not in trouble, but the longer she stays here, the harder it will be to undo the bond. I don't want it undone, Rena said suddenly. Lori's turned slowly. Then you understand what that means? I do, Rena whispered, her voice steady. I chose him. Liam didn't speak. His heart raced, his mind scattered. But he didn't say no, he didn't step away. He just looked at her and stayed. Lori's nodded slowly. And stay hidden. Until the phase ends, she said. If your bond becomes real, it will echo in our systems. And you will no longer be under protection. She walked out without another word. And the door clicked shut behind her. Rena turned to Liam, her face soft, almost scared. She said it will echo, she repeated. That means once it happens, the whole system will know. I know, Liam replied. She looked down at her hands. I don't know how much longer I can fight it. Then don't fight it alone, he said. Fight it with me. Her eyes widened, not because of fear, but because no one had ever said that to her before. Later that night, when the lights were low and the cold pressed against the windows again, Rena stood in the middle of the room, not shaking, not panting, just standing, watching him with glowing eyes. Even if I lose control, she whispered, would you still let me stay? Liam stepped forward, heart heavy but sure. As long as you knock first, he said with a smile. I'll leave the door open, asterisk. The night air was thick and heavy, even inside the cabin. The heat pressed close against Liam's skin. He watched. Rena pacing slowly, her steps uneven like she was fighting a storm inside her. Her glowing eyes flickered between blue and orange, a sign he had learned to read. Blue meant calm. Orange meant the heat was rising, the fire growing too strong to hold back. She stopped suddenly and looked at him. Her voice was soft but filled with urgency. I'm hungry, she said, not for food, but for something deeper. Something Liam didn't fully understand yet. Liam nodded and went to the small fridge, pulling out some fresh fruit and water. Rena didn't touch it. Instead, she wrapped her arms around herself, fighting the cravings that burned like wildfire inside her. I don't want to hurt you, she whispered, eyes wide with fear. You won't, Liam promised, stepping closer but keeping his hands raised in peace. Her body tensed, then relaxed. Slightly, he could see the battle in her eyes, the war between the alien instincts and the trust she was building with him. Liam wished he could take the pain away, but all he could do was stay strong for both of them. As the hours passed, Rena's breathing grew heavier. She paced less. She sat more, but the glowing in her skin became brighter, and Liam knew the worst was coming. Suddenly, she stood and looked directly at him. Touch me, she said, voice trembling. Liam froze, heart pounding. Not to hurt, she said quickly. To help. He took a slow step forward. His hand hovered just above her arm. The moment he touched her skin, warmth flooded through him. It wasn't just heat, it was connection. A bond beginning to form. Rena closed her eyes and leaned into his touch. For a moment, everything was still. Then she gasped softly, pulling back. I'm sorry, she said, voice breaking. I didn't mean to scare you. Liam shook his head, smiling gently. You didn't, he said. I'm here. They stayed closed that night. No words, only soft breathing and the quiet crackle of the heater. For the first time, Liam saw the alien not as a danger, but as someone fighting to keep her humanity, to hold on to herself, and he vowed silently, no matter how hard the heat burned, he would stand with her through every storm, every battle inside, because sometimes, even the strongest need someone to hold on to. The night air was thick with tension. Liam's cabin felt smaller, heavier, as footsteps echoed outside, firm, steady and cold. The door shuddered with a strong knock that seemed to shake the walls. He knew who it was before opening, the Zerathi. Commander, her brother, had come. Liam stood at the door, heart pounding, breath slow and steady. Behind him, Rena watched silently, her eyes glowing faintly with a fierce light. The commander's voice was hard and commanding. I've come for my sister, she said. She must return. Liam didn't move. She is not a prisoner, he said calmly. She chose to stay. The commander's gaze cut through the room like a blade. "You do not understand what you risk," she said, voice low and deadly. "Her heat phase is dangerous. She could bond for life, change the fate of our people." Rena stepped forward, voice strong despite the trembling in her body. "I choose him," she said. "Not because I'm weak, but because I'm free." The commander's eyes narrowed, searching for signs of deception. But all she saw was truth and fire for a moment. Silence stretched like a breaking wire. Then the commander spoke again. "Softer this time, then prove it," she said. "Survive." The night without losing control. Liam felt the weight of her words. This was not just about Rena or him. It was about survival, trust, and honor. The night passed slow. Rena fought the burning inside. Liam stayed by her side, a quiet shield against the storm. When dawn finally broke, the commander was still there. Watching, waiting, she nodded once. "Sharp and decisive, you have my respect," she said. "You have kept her safe." Rena smiled, relief shining through exhaustion. Liam felt something he hadn't expected, pride, not just in himself, but in the bond they had formed. The commander turned and left, but before she disappeared into the morning mist, she looked back. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The true test comes after the heat." Liam closed the door slowly, heart heavy but sure. Rena took his hand, her grip warm and steady. "We face it together," she whispered. He nodded. The door stayed open, because some doors are meant to be left open, for new beginnings, for trust, for love.